just wanted to welcome you back to part 2 of our traditions videos. Peggy and I talked a lot. We had over 20 traditions to share with you, and it took about an hour. So we split this up into 2, and hope you enjoy these videos. Hope it gives your family some ideas, lets you know what's important to Peggy and I. So let's get going on the last of our traditions, okay? Enjoy. Okay, I think we're up to number 13 now. This one we just started a year or so ago, this tradition. Peggy and I have been on the road traveling, and we sleep in our Toyota Sienna van, minivan. Got a bed in there, we have a kitchen. We'll do a video showing you it sometime, possibly this winter when we go to Florida. But we have a ball just traveling around doing it. It's a very inexpensive way to travel. But one thing, this was Peggy's idea. It's almost always Peggy. I'm the party pooper of the family, and Peggy's the
He's
fun.
very good at this. He's very good at this.
Peggy's the fun one. But she came up with this idea once. You know, every night when it's warm, summertime, you know, watermelon's really good, right? So I don't know if we had bought it and then Peggy got the idea, or if she got the idea before we bought it.
Yeah, I got the idea when we were near the watermelon. Hi,
Okay.
you know.
We decided, hey, let's take this back. And even the smallest watermelons are pretty big, you know, a lot of slices in them. And our refrigerator we have in our van is pretty small, so we don't have a lot of room for leftovers. Peggy came up with the idea, when we're around other people, we're not always, sometimes we're pretty secluded and by ourselves, and this won't work. But when we know we're in a area where there's other campers nearby, or when we're in a park, we camped out in a park in Oregon, and there were a lot of homeless people there. And we did the same thing. We went around, told people, hey, 6 o'clock, we're going to be having watermelon over here, and come on over and have some with us. And we did that again. You know, the homeless people, they loved it. They don't get many treats. And then fellow campers, and it's become a tradition. We've done it 3-4 times, and we're going to continue it. It's a good way to make friends. I've come to love the homeless people. They've got rough lives, and this is just one little way we can help make their lives a little bit better, I think. So
Yeah, it was. This was in. When did we go to Arizona? Was that this year?
No.
That was anyway.
A couple of years ago or
It
so.
started when we went to Telephone Cove in near Bullhead City, Arizona, and Laughlin, Nevada. And there were just, it turned out to be very packed, and we got out our folding square table, put a cloth over it, got the, you know, paper towels and paper plates and everything, cut it up, and it was like all these people came and had some, and you know, they had like a regular average little piece or whatever, and they were really happy. Then we were invited over to a big campfire with a bunch of these other people. We were like the oldest people there, and but it was fun. But then we did it again, like Rob said. That's it.
All right.
Anyway, I call him Bob, Rob, Reet, Honey Poo, whatever. He answers to everything.
Let me explain something real quick, because this keeps happening. My real name's Robert, but I've been called Bobby, mostly by my mom when I was little. and Bob, of course. You know, it's a nickname. And all my life, just about, I thought, man, there's so many Bobs in the world, and I love the name Rob. You know, there was a Rob, I think, in My Three Sons.
There was a Rob Petrie.
And a Rob Petrie, what was that show? Dick Van Dyke Show. I mean, I just like the name Rob better than Bob. And very few people call me Robert. And it's too formal, you know. And so anyway, every time we move, I always had this desire and goal. Okay, we're going to move, because we've moved a lot in our marriage. And okay, we're going to move, and I'm going to start telling people, you know, people ask, what's your name? Or you go up and you meet somebody and say, hey, I'm such and such. Well, I'm going to start telling them I'm Rob. Start a new tradition. and I always forgot. It's such a habit. I mean, I'm 68 years old. People have been calling me Bob for a long time, and so has Peggy. And so Peggy forgets, and that's fine. It's no big deal. But we're both, and even I forget now. I go up and I meet somebody new, and hi, I'm Bob, and I'm thinking in my mind, you dummy, you're trying. Even I can't remember, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
so.
I'm gonna learn. I told him I'm gonna start calling him Rob. I'm just gonna have to, you know, train myself to do that, because, you know, that's what he would like. And but also I call him Reet, which people get, what the heck? Started out when we were first married and just ooey gooey love, and we call each other Honey Poo. And then
And we still do call
we still call each other Honey Poo once in a while, but it's like then it turned to Poover, Reader, and Reet, and it's been Reet for like 20 years.
Yes, we're weird.
And
yes.
and so I was on the phone talking to Bob Reet, anyway, and I'm on the phone and I say, okay, I love you, and I talked to them and I said, hey Reet, and then I said, I love you at the end, and someone said, who were you talking to? I said, my husband. And she said, well, who's Reet? I said, that's a nickname, that's our name. Anyway, that's a long, really.
Got a little off track there, but it's kind of a tradition, I guess.
Yeah, it's a long, we've been married 44 years, so you have to do stuff like that.
Okay, number 14, here's another weird one. We've been doing this for 5 years, maybe a little longer. You know, you go up to somebody, you said, hey, and in the movie Princess Bride, they say, well,
Nope.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
There's two different books.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is from the Mitford books?
Yeah. Father Tim.
Father Tim, the Mitford books. We did a book review on that. On our channel. Great books. But they say, hey, and the other person says, hey yourself. And it's funny in the book, you know, that's their little tradition. I don't know, I think this was actually my idea, believe it or not. Maybe I'm wrong.
I thought it was Lincoln's.
Maybe.
I don't know.
One of us came up with the idea, if somebody says, hey, you say, hey yourself. The person that said, hey, has to say, as you wish. And so if Peggy says,
hey
yourself.
As you wish.
And it sounds dorky. I'm sure it sounds weird, but we just have the best time, and we try and catch each other. Because the person, if you can get somebody to say, hey, all you gotta do is remember to say, hey yourself, and they have to say, as you wish. You got me. And Lincoln, he gets he likes to do it, but he pretends that, oh man, you got me again. So that's a little weird tradition we do. Number 15, epic road trips. We've always lived a long ways from where Peggy's family was when we first got married, especially. And so when we went to visit them during the holidays, we had to travel 10, 20, once from Michigan to LA, and we took the long route because we were going out at Christmas time. We wanted to avoid any bad weather going. We could have went I-80 or I-70 and gone through Nebraska or Colorado and saved a few hundred miles, but we went south and then got on I-10. We drove 44 hours straight from Michigan to LA to get there because we only had a week or so of vacation. But we call them epic because we sang, we would listen to, this was before we had cell phones, most of these trips. So we didn't have access to Pandora or books on tape and that kind of thing.
That was before we started reading out loud too.
Yeah.
So it was like.
But we'd find in the middle of, late at night, we'd find radio stations that were interesting. And I remember one, they were reading or sang or playing the Wizard of Oz.
Uh-huh.
And we listened to that, and 2 o'clock in the morning, and Peggy saw she says she did. She says she saw a real UFO.
Oh yeah, no, it was a fake one. No, it was a real one.
Heidi and I were sleeping, so we can't tell you for sure Peggy saw it, but we believe her. But anyway, we'd play games, we'd do the Mad Libs thing, we'd just do anything we could to, because that was a lot of hours be sitting in a car, and so that was fun.
I have to clarify a little bit on the UFO. By that time, we were in our way home, and we ended up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is where we live now.
Long before we
lived here. So our daughter Heidi was probably
30 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, she was about 8, and she was sitting in the front seat. Bob was laying down in the back, and I for some reason I'd been awake all day, and I go, well, there's not a problem. We're gonna stop for the night, and so we come into South Dakota. I guess it wasn't Sioux Falls; it was Sturgis, where of course they have the huge motorcycle rally, and every motel room was taken. And we came to this one motel, and it would look like maybe it could be $12 a night. They wanted like $60 or something, like $60 or $80. Yeah. And there were like 3 people waiting for this room.
Nowadays, that's not a bad price for a hotel, but back then, and we were poor.
It was. And so it was like, okay, well, I've been awake all day. Bob's been driving all day, so he's got to sleep. So I'm like, okay. So we stop at a truck stop where everybody else is because they can't find a place to stop for the night. And I don't drink coffee. But I had coffee, I had Mountain Dew, and I had Vivarin. So anything to keep me awake.
She was wired.
So I was, driving, and when we got to Sioux Falls, I looked up. It was like a brushed metal silver disc up there, and it evaporated. And I'm like, oh, wake up, you guys, you're missing it. Oh my gosh. And nobody saw it, and I was the only one. Then, we stopped at a gas station, and I didn't bring it up. Did you guys see the UFO? No, I didn't. Anyway, that was the condition I was in when I saw it.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun on our road trips. So that was number 15. Peggy's going to finish us out here.
Alrighty. One thing, I make this trifle, and It's a strawberry banana trifle. It's you start with angel food cake torn in pieces, and then you put vanilla pudding on it and bananas.
It's yummy.
And then whipped cream, then strawberries, and you start over again with the angel food cake and all that stuff. And keep
It's
going.
kind of healthy.
Yeah, it's like, it's like maybe 3 or 4 layers. And one year, we weren't going to be with any family, and we were in Illinois, and decided for Christmas we were going to have a Who feast. And we were going to have fun, pink, and bright decorations for our dinner. And we got these cool stemware things for a couple dollars a piece. It was like everything was, we had the trifle, I can't remember what dessert that we ended up, it was, but we had the roast beast and, and I guess we called it Who pudding. That's what we did. We called it Who pudding. Yeah. And so that was our trifle. Anyway, camping adventures. My mom and dad, I went camping my whole life. My dad was a really outdoors guy, and so we went camping. And my mom and dad, after my dad retired from the sheriff's department, he and my mom walked over 500 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail. Not
at one time.
Not one time. Yeah, not all at one time. But they'd be dropped off and do their walk for how long they were going to go, and then they'd get in a town and call, say, okay, we're here, can you come pick us up? And they'd go home. So they ended up doing 500 miles.
But they were a great example of, get out there and have some fun. And,
yeah. And so then, our camping adventures with and we've had a lot of camping adventures before we even had the van.
Yeah, we used to go camping in a tent, go to parks and stuff. Now we do it differently.
Yeah, so now we're in our van, and Bob did the conversion of our van, and some of our, my brother has a YouTube video, I think it's John and Natasha.
John and Natasha's YouTube channel.
John and Natasha's YouTube channel.
Check it out. They go on a lot of adventures and hikes.
Bike rides, hikes, all kinds of stuff. They live in Crete, in Greece, and so I went to visit them in 2016, and it was fantastic. I want to go so bad. But they do these videos of their adventures, and we like to watch those. And, we just have some really good examples of people who just do it. And we've got one on Rob's side of the family. Is it Raymond? Raymond and his wife, Amanda, I think it is. Okay, anyway, he's our great nephew. And they just spent a few weeks, I think, in Montana. They saw a bear. They saw a bear. And we saw a bear, it was a little bear. Anyway, so we have all these people that do kind of the same thing.
So we're grateful for all the examples other people have given us of getting out there and having an adventure, because if you left it up to me, I could very easily, although I've come to love and I look forward to our adventures, I'm still the type of person, you could put me in a cave somewhere, and if I just had a few essentials, I'd be happy as a lark, and just staying in my own little cave, my hole, and so we're grateful that people have shown us there's a great big world out there, and go see it.
Yeah, and also Bob Wells. Bob, that was his guru for like 3 years before I finally started watching. I thought, oh, this is really interesting. I kind of like this, and so
yeah, Bob Wells. You'll never see this probably because we're such a tiny new channel, but thank you for. Sorry, but he was the first person I ever saw that lived this the way we do in our van. And someday we're going to sell our house, and we might live on wheels, you know, for a long time. We don't know. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it's great.
Mm-hmm. And then the last thing we have here was we have had epic birthdays. These are usually planned by Heidi and Travis. The one awesome one took so much planning and logistics, and oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it was the, if you remember the series 24. I think it was what, Keanu Reeves? No, not Keanu Reeves. His dad.
Sutherland.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can't remember his
I'm
first
sorry.
name. The son.
Not Donald Sutherland, but his son.
His son.
Yeah. Anyway, Travis and Heidi had the sisters, Jen and Allie, who lived in Sioux Falls. They were people that Bob had to call in to complete certain tasks. I was videoed as I was ironing the insignia of CTU, counter-terrorist unit, and then I was supposed to answer the phone and say, "Oh, and we're running out of time," you know. And I let it ring twice. I went, "Yeah, we're running out of time."
So I had to call people. They gave me I had a list of instructions. I had to call people and get my assignment, and I'd either have to walk somewhere or drive somewhere, do what it said, and then there'd be more instructions, or they'd call me again. Envelopes. And I got a little case. They bought a little, kind of like a small metal briefcase. And when it was all over, I still got it. It's to remember the great birthday, the epic birthday fun we had.
They made a video, and Travis was, my gosh, he has such an imagination, but he's also a really good filmmaker. And he had his phone, his camera down here, and he was in a parking garage, and he jumps from one level down to the bottom, and he's like, you know, doing this counterterrorism stuff. And then they show on the screen Decatur, Illinois, which is where we lived around. And at the time, and then something was happening in Decatur, Illinois. And all of it, you know, it was all of us people together doing all this. And eventually he ended up with a scope on his shotgun or something, or rifle or something, deer rifle. And it's probably not even supposed to have a scope on it. But that was, he got that in at the mall.
But this all took like hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah,
it was like a play.
It was awesome. It was so good. And I was also someone he had to call and give me the answer that, and then I could give him the next, then I had to give him the next one. And it was so fun. We had, then we had a birthday for me that Heidi and Bob put together, and it was a surprise party. And
well, both of these were.
Right, yeah, they were both surprise parties. And it was Downton Abbey. We had the house was decorated, like the table was decorated like one of those really fancy dinner tables they have, and
Heidi had invited a lot of your friends.
Yeah, Heidi had invited my
Everybody
friends.
Everybody was dressed up.
Yeah.
Not
all like
super fancy, but
no, in
nice.
Period dress as much as they could, and Rob over here took me to breakfast.
I was the waiter, or
yeah, you were the butler.
The butler, yeah.
And he served the cake and tea or lemonade or whatever we had. I don't even know. And it was great. It was wonderful. And then I got these envelopes with, like, to the lady Peggy Larson, will be, bring your suitcase and you're going to be going to, and there was a Victorian house in our historic area here in Sioux Falls, and Bob and I went to a bed and breakfast, and it was so exciting. It was just really, it was so fun. And the other one, and this one wasn't us, it was just between Heidi Travis and their friends like Jed and Allie, and they turned their apartment into the Mario Nintendo game, and they had like spaces to go, and I have never played it, so I don't know, but there were things to do at all these different places, and they had special food that kind of went with that, and had names to go with the show, with the computer game, and just listening to stuff. And then we have Halloween. Where they both, I'm just not even going to say. Just the makeup is amazing.
Kind of talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about the costumes and stuff, but, it's just almost everything Travis touches is incredible. But anyway, these
Travis, Heidi, Peggy, and Lincoln are all creative, so they make sure we have fun. So that's a lot of traditions.
Yeah, we might have to put this in 2 parts.
Yeah, this is probably going to end up being a 2-part video, I think, because I can't tell. Yeah, we're up to 52 minutes. It's almost an hour. Man.
Yeah, there was just so many, and I'm sure we'll edit it,
Yeah, but we wanted to let you know, again, if you remember, our channel is about family history and letting you know what's important to us and things like that, among other things. We tell you about our travels and show you our travels too, but maybe you think your family doesn't do a lot of traditions, have a lot of traditions, but maybe you have more than you thought you did after hearing some of ours. But if you don't, there's over 20 ideas right there. It's never too late to start a tradition. Right, Peggy? And
we have one more that Heidi, our daughter Heidi, started us on like 5 years ago, and it's from Iceland, and it's called Jólaboka Flood, and it means flood of books. And so on Christmas Eve, after all the festivities or whatever, having eggnog or whatever, and it's time to go to bed, everybody gets a book that's wrapped in brown paper with their name stamped on it, and also with it you get your favorite chocolate bar or candy bar or whatever. And then I was talking to a customer at World Market who was from Iceland, and she says, "Oh, and we do wool socks." It's like, well, yeah. They're the biggest population of readers, because they have winter like all year or something. I don't know. Anyway,
it's a long winter.
A long winter, and she said, they do socks, and so, but so far it's just the book and the candy. I'm thinking socks and maybe a hot cocoa packet, but that was one of the best traditions, because after being Santa for ever, 40 some years, I got to have my night of having my book, and it was Velveteen Principles, and Principles, not it's about the Velveteen Rabbit, but there's Velveteen Principles. And so I got that book and my candy bar, and I wasn't Santa that year, and I just got to go to bed and read and eat that chocolate, and it's one of the best traditions ever.
Yeah. So, this might end up being a 3-part. Who knows? But yeah. Hope you enjoyed this. Let us know what some of your traditions are in the comments. we like adding traditions, and you know, you never have too much fun. Life is short. So, Peggy, anything else?
If you could be anything.
I try to remember to say this at the end of all of our videos, and I forget, but it's just a saying I like, you know, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. So, we love you guys.
Yep.
And we'll see you in the next video. Take
Yeah,
care.
Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep.
You guys have an awesome time.
All right. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.